Welcome to the Millennial Method podcast, where I dive into the personal stories of millennials that have decided to chase their dreams, overcome challenges, and redefine success in this pivotal era. I'm your host, Marky, and my guest for today is Dina Lu. She is a creator. She creates content on YouTube and Instagram, and she talks all things creative business and personal development. I'm always someone that is into creativity and business, and when I get to marry the two, it's always a good time. And so when I was on YouTube, just kind of exploring different projects like that, her YouTube channel popped up. And one of the first videos that I found was her talking about opening an Etsy business. And one of the videos that I saw that caught my eye was showing how much she made on her first month of doing Etsy. And I thought that was super cool. And, I love the way that she is not only transparent with her content, but she's very relatable in that way. This is a great episode if you're someone that wants to dive into the world of creative business, whether you're a calligraphy artist, whether you're someone that wants to start an Etsy shop. She has been doing the entrepreneurship thing for a few years now and has only run Etsy for about a year, but she has a ton of experience and a ton of videos learning from it. And so if you're someone that is interested in that kind of thing, this is a great episode. She gives a great perspective on her life as not only an entrepreneur, but as a digital nomad, which I know a lot of us at this age have thought about doing, right? Just kind of working off the grid or working remote somewhere in another country for a few months. She got to do that for 7 months, which, is a dream in my opinion. I've only known her through the YouTube space, but it feels like we've known each other for a while just because this conversation was just so flowing and it was very wide ranging. And I think you guys will like it, especially coming into the new year when you're thinking about starting new passion projects. And so without further ado, here is Dina Lu. Dina, what's up?
Nothing much. How are you, Mark?
I'm great. I'm excited to have you on, Dina, because I'm a huge fan of your content, and I'm all about creative entrepreneurship as well. And a lot of my audience is they're creatives as well. And so I think they'll, learn a thing or two about the entrepreneurship side. And, with the new year coming up, I'm hoping this podcast inspires people to either start a side hustle or start a business or even just pursue their creative endeavors. And so I think the first place I'd love to start, though, is talk about your Etsy journey, because I think a lot of people,
a lot of people following me for that.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I mean, that's how I knew you. I wanted to get into Etsy. And so let's start there. And so again, your most popular YouTube videos are on Etsy. You've been doing it for a few years now, right?
No, just 1 year,
1 year.
actually.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Dang. Wow.
Yeah, so actually it's been it's been exactly 1 year since I started my first Etsy shop, and I only have one Etsy shop. But basically around that time, so at that time I've been doing YouTube for, now it's been 3 years. So at that time it was 2 years. My YouTube was growing so slowly, and so I thought I'm going to just try a bunch of random, I'm going to just do some part-time projects here and there. So I did Uber Eats, I did some pet sitting. And then one of the other ideas I had was, let me just try to start an Etsy shop. Maybe that can make me some income while I wait for my YouTube to grow. And so I had this idea to sell Canva templates for business owners. It's a lot more niche, but I don't reveal what my niche is on YouTube.
Yeah.
Just in case there are copycats, but it's basically Canva templates. And so I think I spent a month designing 2, and then I launched the products. And in the first month, I had 10 sales from strangers. So I was very surprised. I think that my goal was 10 sales. And then, I thought, hey, this is pretty good. And then I thought, why don't I make a YouTube video just recapping the results? So I did, and I didn't think much of it. My YouTube was growing so slowly. I was like, I'm just going to talk about this. And I don't think it's going to do well, but whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so I posted that YouTube video called My First Month on Etsy. And it actually was the video that grew my channel from, at the time I had 4,000 subscribers. And then in these 11 months, now I've grown to 45,000 because of that video started to pick up. And then a lot of my other videos started to pick up too.
Wow.
Yeah. But in terms of the Etsy shop, so the YouTube is doing much better than the Etsy. In this 1 year, I've made about 5,000 Canadian dollars with my Etsy shop. So it's like a good side hustle, but I mean, it's not like a full-time income or anything. But this entire year, I've been sharing my Etsy journey on my YouTube and
Yeah.
tutorials about how to start an Etsy shop, how do you make listing photos, stuff like that.
That's awesome. And so, was there anyone that you were looking at in terms of like inspiration when you were thinking about starting your Etsy shop and doing that transparency of showing, how much you made, or is that just something that you found out or you decided to do on your own? Because I really appreciate that type of
Mm.
content.
Yeah, I actually watched a lot of YouTube videos where they were talking about YouTube monetization and how much I made in 1 year on YouTube. Like I always watch those videos all the time. And so I thought, okay, well, if people share about their YouTube revenue, and there are people who share about their Etsy revenue, but I didn't see as much of that. So I thought, okay, maybe I'll just I'll just do that. I'll just copy those people who share about their YouTube revenue, but I'll do it for Etsy.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure.
And it worked.
Do you think there's a you ever wonder like why that first video blew up? Like, was it just a timing thing, or like with the Etsy video? And was like, were
Yeah.
there a lot of people trying to get into Etsy at the time?
Oh, I think Etsy is always popular all the time. I think at the time, not a, I think, so there are a lot of YouTubers sharing about Etsy, but they've been doing Etsy for years. So they make a lot from Etsy. And I think the new people trying to start an Etsy shop, they always see those people saying, like, hey, in 1 year I made, I don't know, like $50,000, $100,000. And it seems so unattainable
Yeah,
because those people have been doing it for so long, and the beginners who are just trying to start, I think they're really looking for somebody that they can relate to. And so when I posted my first month on Etsy, like there were other people who posted my first month on Etsy kind of videos before, but there weren't a lot. And I think, yeah, there weren't a lot. And then mine was kind of, I don't know what it is. It's probably a combination of interest in the topic, and maybe because I've already been doing YouTube, and maybe it's my personality, or I also have like a spreadsheet that I screen share in the video. So I think people really wanted to see someone's results that were like more relatable.
yeah, for sure. And I think that I was probably one of those people too, where I saw the people just making, 5 figures, 6 figures on Etsy, just reading them like, oh, I could try that out, But it was more of like, you don't realize that they've been doing it for years. And then
Yeah.
you talk about your experience where you talk about how much you made in the first month. And then people kind of put that into perspective, and it's like, okay, this is realistically what can happen in a month. And so I'm going to follow her journey and see, where she goes from there. And
Hmm.
so when you think about, your first month of selling on Etsy, and I think you're still doing it now. I see some, new videos, right? Like what is your experience selling on Etsy from then to now? And how would you describe that experience?
Yeah, so I think when I first started, the first 3 months were actually really, really good. But it was also the third month was January, where people have New Year's resolutions to start a business. And so my sales were
Mm,
like $1,000. It was really good.
yeah.
Right after that, okay, also because right after that, I went traveling, and then I just didn't work on my Etsy shop at all. So my sales basically plummeted to like $300 a month. And every single month, it's been around $200 to $400 of revenue per month. So it really went down. So the first 3 months were really exciting. And also my YouTube channel was like really growing at that time.
Yeah.
But then after that, it kind of like plateaued. And so it's been pretty consistent since then. And I have worked on it. I wanted to work on it a lot more, but I just couldn't find the time when I was traveling. So I was away for 7 months traveling in Southeast Asia and China. But then now I'm like still trying to work on it, like, but it's been very slow. But I still like I want to keep doing it and like share about the results and see if maybe in January I can get the same kind of result, like at least $1,000. I think it was because of New Year's resolutions, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. No, for sure. Do you think there's also, well, I guess you kind of pointed it out, but there's a correlation to your YouTube kind of blowing up and then correlation to sales as well, where, that first video you posted and then the next few months or so, those sales started to pick up, and so there's traction between the two.
Yeah, so I actually nobody knows what my shop is on YouTube. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
some people found it. I think there's like there's like some parts where it kind of you can kind of
You
find
kind of
it
guess it, yeah.
if you be really like if you watch like all the videos and you really look for it, like it it has leaked out before, but I'm very careful about that. But I would say the majority of people they don't know what it is. So my YouTube blowing up and the Etsy shop doing well, there's like no correlation because
Mm.
people, I don't have a link to the Etsy shop. People can't like click it and then buy something. So I don't share any of that on my YouTube.
Oh yeah, that's super interesting. And then thinking about when you started in January too, sounds like it's a little seasonal too. So
Yeah, I'd say
hopefully that
so.
hopefully that correlates
Yeah.
for the 2024. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Have you tried the new, kind of taking a step back a little bit on the Canva templates? Have you seen what Canva has been able to do nowadays? Because it's pretty
With the
wild.
AI stuff,
Yeah, with the AI stuff.
I kind of saw it. I've tried a little bit, but I don't think I've really explored like all of what Canva can do with AI. But I have been using Midjourney to make listing photos for Etsy, like
Ooh, same.
mock-ups, and it's been really good.
Yeah, I work for a digital agency. We use Midjourney all the time.
Ooh.
So nice. Yeah, so when you think about, you said it's been a year now since
Yeah,
you've
it's
done
been
Etsy.
exactly a year. The Etsy.
Do you have any like 1 year takeaways from the work that you've done so far?
Yeah, I would say you have to be okay, wait. People have told me that you have to be consistent with posting. So I've always wanted to be consistent with posting. And I think part of the reason why my Etsy shop plummeted, like in February, March, is because I didn't post at all for like maybe 3 or 4 months.
Oh, is
But
there
then
like a
I've
social aspect
also,
to it?
pardon?
Like when you say posting, like there's a social aspect to it?
Not posting on social media. I mean, posting new listings.
Oh, interesting. So there's like maybe even like an algorithm involved with Etsy?
Yeah. So Etsy really likes it when you're an active seller, apparently.
Mm.
But I know people who have Etsy shops and they only have 10 listings. They don't post anything, but they're making more than me. So I think it really depends on the niche. So I think the most important thing when you're starting an Etsy shop is probably having a good niche. Yeah, that
Okay.
would be the most important because especially if you are only using Etsy to make sales. So for me, like I only have the Etsy shop. I don't have any social media tied to my Etsy and no Pinterest. Only Etsy. So I literally just like wait for people to search, Canva template, blah blah blah, and then they find me on Etsy. So the niche is really important and then like listing photos have to be beautiful, your SEO, like the description, and the title. Those are really important. But I think the niche is really important. And once you pick a niche, it's really hard to change. So I
Yeah.
would say right at the beginning, it's really important that you pick a really good niche, but also a niche that it's better if you know something about it. Like for example, if you were to start an Etsy shop, you could do something that's about, I don't know, like you're good at you do graphic design, right? You
I
can
actually do. This is actually funny. It
okay.
was a question I was about to ask you. So I run a wedding photography and videography business, and with some friends, we've thought about, because it's a service based business, we want
Mhm.
to go dive into like digital products, and so yeah, I don't know. Is there an opportunity
Yeah, I think
there?
yeah, the wedding niche is really big on Etsy. If
Yeah,
it's like video and photo stuff, I wonder if you could I mean, I think there's a lot you could do with that, like, for
like what I've
example,
seen.
like online
Yeah,
photo album templates, I don't know, or like contract templates for wedding photographers,
I've
stuff
seen
like
that.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like I think there's a lot, but then you have to the wedding niche is so big that you really need to be specific.
Mm.
Yeah.
I saw that, and then I've also seen people do like posing like digital cards, which is kind of
Posing
cool.
digital cards?
Yeah, so like some people will look up, posing photographers will look like posing templates, like some prompts they could use for their couples, and
Oh, okay.
they'll buy that off of Etsy,
Like a resort, kind of like an ebook or
kind of like an ebook, yeah, like a
oh,
PDF
okay.
thing.
Yeah, I didn't even know those things existed. So it's like way better if you have experience in that niche
Ah,
and
okay.
then you know the products. Like I didn't know that that was a thing, but photographers need that kind of stuff.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. What are some niches? I mean, it doesn't even have to be your niche because, we try to keep that a little secretive. But what have you seen on Etsy that work really well?
I think there's a lot of things that work well. So some of the niches I was considering. So there's definitely wedding stuff. That's a huge niche. There's also like let's say for example teachers stuff. Like for example teachers like get to know me as a teacher or like teacher I don't know there's a lot of templates for teachers.
Okay.
There's stuff for let me think. There's a lot for businesses like business cards, website stuff like Squarespace templates, show it templates,
Oh,
website kind of templates.
sure.
And then also one thing I was considering was like bottle templates, like let's say you're making a soap, like handmade soap,
Yeah.
and then you need like a label to print. And then yeah, so that people sell like those kind of labels, like candle labels, stuff like that.
Oh, interesting. And then they could just print them on the candle or something.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah, but
really cool.
yeah, I would say for every single industry, there's stuff you can sell. Like real estate is also another big one, or Airbnb, like welcome templates, or Airbnb bathroom posters. I don't know, stuff like that. Like there's everything.
Honestly, when I'm looking for something like niche or like a gift that's very specific, I'll go to Etsy. And so I feel like
Mm,
with Etsy, it's like if you can niche down, right, and figure out who your target like audience is when you're able to niche down that far, like that's where you find the most
yeah,
success in Etsy.
yeah.
What do you
And
what
there's
do
a
you
lot of people trying to do print on demand.
Mm.
So for me, I just do like digital. It's like all digital. There's no physical thing. But do you know what print on demand is?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
I'm familiar
Yeah,
with
like
that.
you design something, then like the another company like
There's like a like another party that prints it for you.
yeah,
Like
like on
in
a mug and then they ship it for you. So a
correct,
lot
yeah.
of people it's print on demand is also very hot on YouTube right now. Like there's a lot of people trying to get into that.
Sure. Yeah, I just imagine those, like, probably have slimmer margins than a digital
Yeah,
product.
there's more risk because then there's the other company. What if the other company messes up? So I never wanted to get into it.
Ah, I love that. Is there any niche or no, I guess niches or any trends you're noticing on Etsy at the
Any
moment?
trends? I don't know if
Yeah.
any trends. I think the general trend is there are more sellers and there's more competition.
Like from a year ago?
Yeah. Yeah, and like people like there are products popping up all the time that are similar to my products. So I'm like yeah, there's just more and more sellers.
Have you thought about getting into, because I mean, obviously you're a seller here, but have you ever thought about going into maybe e-commerce and, like, building, like, a brand or something? Or do you wanna stick with, like,
Yeah,
the Etsy stuff?
e-commerce. I don't think I would ever sell a physical product unless I think I would only sell something to my YouTube audience like merch or like a journal or something. But in terms of I think for me like the lifestyle I want is I don't want to deal with too many things.
Yeah.
And I feel like with an e-commerce store, it might be a lot of, well, I mean, there's obviously things you could outsource, but I think for me, my main goal is to have a content business. And I would sell, like, right now, I'm starting to sell digital products to my own audience. Like, I just made a Etsy listing photos course.
Mm,
So I would want to sell products to my own audience, but I think in terms of e-commerce, like I wouldn't create like a some kind of a product and sell it. Yeah. Or maybe
yeah.
I would in the future. I don't know. You never know. But I don't think in the next year I'll do that. I want to focus on like my YouTube. Hopefully I can grow this Etsy shop. I don't think I'll give up on it. And then just making my own digital products to sell to my audience.
Got it. Where did you learn, like, the marketing chops? You talk about, like, SEO and other things like that. Did you learn that on your own?
I would say for Etsy, I mean, I watched some YouTube videos, but I think in terms of general SEO, I understood the idea. I knew it was important to make like to title your things well so that people could find it. And because I've done that a lot with YouTube, and also I used to do some blogging before, so I knew the concept of SEO. So I guess yeah, I could just like use what I learned before and apply it to Etsy. But there are tons of like market research tools that you can use to improve your SEO.
Okay, got it. So it was just self-made, self-learning.
Yeah, everything I do, it was all self-learned.
Nice, nice. No, that's usually how it goes, right? Yeah, entrepreneurial journey. One thing I want to know, because obviously 2024 is coming up, right? In January. There's some people that are considering doing this, top of mind, like what are, for people that want to do it in 2024, do you have any advice you want to give to them right off the top of your head?
For Etsy specifically,
Yeah.
yeah, I would say I would first ask them why they want to start an Etsy shop. And I don't say this a lot on my YouTube or just in general, but I think for a lot of people who want to start a business or a side business, I don't think an Etsy shop is the best thing. It's not for everybody. It's not for the average person trying to start a business. I think you have to have some very specific skills if you want to start an Etsy business, and especially if you're doing digital products. Like you need to have ideally some kind of graphic design experience, or if you don't know graphic design, you need to be able to see, like, you have to have a good eye for aesthetics. I think that's really important. And then I would also question them on, like, because I think a lot of people have the idea that if you sell digital products on Etsy, it's really easy passive income. And I don't think it's that easy. Like, you need to pick a good niche. You need to make really good products. You need to make the listing photos, and you need to, ideally, you would be posting a lot. Like, ideally, you would have one new listing every single week or even more. Like, when you start, some people are posting one thing a day
Mm,
on Etsy. So there's a lot of work involved. And I think if people want to, I think it depends on what their goal is. If it's passive income, maybe Etsy. But I think if they're trying to, for example, quit their job or make $1,000 a month, I think freelancing is a way better option because you get cash faster. And yeah, it's just easier to make money if you're offering a service. Yeah.
do you
I
know
wouldn't
anyone?
recommend it to everybody.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm getting. and but I'd be curious though to know, do you know anyone that's doing it full time?
Full time. I don't know anyone personally, but I mean, there are YouTubers who are doing it full time. But personally, I only know people who are just doing it on the side.
Yeah, it sounds. I mean, maybe the top sellers are doing it full time,
Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, it
I
sounds
think
like yeah.
yeah, I think it's very possible to make it a full time, to make a full time living out of Etsy. But I would say it's also very dangerous because you're using the Etsy platform and you don't own, like, you can't control it. They could
Mm,
change anything, right? So I think most full-time sellers, they probably have, they most likely have multiple Etsy shops, or they have
mm,
one Etsy shop but they also sell the same thing on their own website, like a Shopify website. And
sure.
the goal is to drive traffic to their own website, but then they also do Etsy too. So I
So
don't
it's
think
like
it's smart to just do Etsy full time.
right. It's more of like a supplemental business that will kind of help, kind of in the long run of whatever you're trying to sell.
Yeah, or if you have multiple Etsy shops, I think it's safer because you could get banned for whatever, any reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, people get banned for like no reason. I've heard.
I mean, yeah. I mean, just like kind of social media, right? Like you don't own it. It's at any point
Yeah,
you're an
it's
influencer.
very risky. So the best thing is like having your own website or having your own. For me, it's like content. Like, I want to build up my own audience, then I can monetize it or just build up different income streams.
Yeah, I love that. Well, let's talk about that because you've been an entrepreneur for about I think a few years now. Has it been 3 or 4 years?
It's
When would you
been
say
4.5 years full time.
4.5 years full time? Nice, congrats.
Yeah, thank you. Almost 5 years.
Oh, dude, so it must be weird to say, huh? Just getting there.
Yeah, it's weird. I think it was the weirdest when I got to the 2 year mark because after university, I worked 2 years in a full time, like 9 to 5 job. And then
Mm.
after working full time for myself, I was like, wait, I've been working longer for myself.
Then university.
I think the 2 year mark was the weirdest.
Oh, that's a funny correlation, actually. I think you've mentioned that in one of your videos too, where you were like, you experienced when you went back to traditional like employment after being self-employed for a few years, I think. Is that right? Is there one of those videos where
Mhm.
you went back to traditional employment?
Wait, I went.
So you were doing
Oh,
entrepreneurship.
okay. So yeah, yes. Okay, so what happened was, okay, so I never got like a full-time job after I quit my job.
Okay.
I got I got like a part-time job making TikTok videos for a company.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
but I was like technically employed.
Got it. Okay. And so when you think about, it's been what, 4.5 years, and then you also think about, leaving your job. What is your stance on that now? Do you think people should do that, or do you think they should, maybe wait it out? Like, how did you know when to become an entrepreneur?
Ooh, okay. I think it really depends on the person and what they have going on in their lives. So for me at the time, well, I was 25 years old when I quit my job and I was living at home. Like I didn't have major expenses. I was single, like no kids.
And what were you
So
doing at the time for a job?
for my job, I was working in a government office doing like business development and like international trade.
Got it.
Yeah. So yeah, actually I had a side business for 1 year before quitting my job. So it was the calligraphy. I was selling greeting cards and teaching calligraphy workshops one
Mm.
year before I quit my job. And I think I always knew, like since university, I always knew that I wanted to do my own thing and I wanted to have freedom and flexibility and I wanted to be my own boss. And I didn't want to go to an office. But like after university, like I got a job. I was like, okay, let me just, it's also good experience. I can just like, settle down in this job first and then figure out what I'm going to do. So that's what I did. And then 1 year into the job, I started learning calligraphy with the intention of turning it into a business. And I did that. And so 1 year later, I like I think things were going okay with the calligraphy business. I was teaching a calligraphy workshop every single week and I
Mm.
felt like I wanted to do more, but then I just didn't have time because I was always working in my job. So that's when I decided to quit. But then I told myself, okay, let me just quit and try this for 1 year. And if after 1 year it's not going well, then I can always get a job. But I think I have to do this now. Like, this is the best time to try it out. And then
And you were
I never
26,
got a full time job
right?
after that. Yeah.
Oh,
But I
amazing.
think for a lot of people, it's really hard to quit their job if they have a family or, a mortgage. So then I would suggest like side business. But if they're confident, if they know, like I think they really have to believe in themselves. Like if they know this is for them, then you can just quit your job and like, I mean, you would have to have like a runway, right? Of, I don't know, maybe 6 months. I, I don't know. This is not advice. Disclaimer, not advice. But I think people really have to look at their own personal situation and kind of balance like, okay, what are my financial commitments now? How much do I think this is actually going to work? How realistic is it? What can I do? What if things don't go well? Like, can I go back to a job or can I do some freelancing? So I think it really depends on the person.
And when you made that decision, can you remind like my audience, just so they have some context of how old you were when you decided to take the 1 year off?
Yeah. I was 25 and then now I'm 29.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so because I think that's so important. Like you said, it's really depends, and there's context involved. And then I also wanted to ask that because I've had a few people on my podcasts where there's been so many different perspectives. Like I know a guy that moved to LA and he became an influencer. And for the most part, he kind of just said, I don't really have a plan. I'm just going to do it. But he had some runway, right? It was like, he was like 27 years old. But then I know another guy that
Hmm.
decided to freelance full time and he had this whole financial plan in his head, big emergency fund. And, it worked out. But then with you, it's like, did you kind of like have that plan as well, like a financial plan, or you were like, I'm just gonna do this gap year and live with my parents? How did you think about that?
Yeah. Oh, I did make a huge, huge plan. Or else My dad would be so unhappy with he was already unhappy with me quitting like a it was like a safe government job with good benefits. He was already
Oh, he's the
unhappy, so
best.
for him to be okay with it, I kind of had to make a plan and show him the plan. Like, this is what I'm working on. This is my revenue projections. By the way, I did
Wow.
not hit the revenue projections. It was like way lower than what I thought. But yeah, I kind of had a plan, and I think I was in the mindset of okay, I don't have a lot of expenses. I'm living at home. This is like the best time to try. Let me just do it and see how it goes, and I can always get a job later.
Mm, got it.
Yeah.
Well, that's important too. I think if you're a young millennial, you gotta think about your parents as well. So that's cool. Well, I think I want to talk about that. Let's talk about the side hustles because I also that's also popular like popular content that you have on YouTube. I think one of your most popular videos is the side hustles for 2023. And so, when you made that video initially, well, first of all, like how did you come up with that video, and did you think it would get as popular as it did when you look back?
Yeah, I feel like all my popular videos, I never thought they would get popular.
Yeah, so it goes. Yeah.
But that one, I I don't know, I just made it and then I don't know. Yeah, and then it just did well. Like I never planned for videos to do well. I think the only video I planned and that I thought would do well is I made a 1 hour tutorial on how to start an Etsy shop. It was like really, really in depth. I was like, in 1 year, I think this is going to get 1 million views. And it's
Oh,
doing really well. It's getting
uh,
1,500 views every single day right now. And it has almost 200,000 views
oh,
in less than 6 months. So I don't know if
wow.
it'll hit 1 million, but it's definitely growing. Like people are searching how to start an Etsy shop, digital products, and mine's like one of the first videos.
Looking back at that side hustle video, top 15 side hustles, I forget. Have you done all those side hustles? Is that why you recommended them?
It was half me, half what my friends have done.
Got it. Okay. And when you think about those side hustles now, like which one do you think is like the most easiest to do or to start at least?
Ooh, okay. Hmm. I
It's got to be
think
whatever
for
pops up in your head first.
yeah, yeah, I think okay, I think it really depends on the person, but I would say in general, offering a service that you already know, like something it's like if you have already have a skill, the easiest thing to do is to offer that service. That's the
Mm,
easiest thing. And for me that was like I I learned calligraphy so that I could monetize the calligraphy because I wasn't really excited about monetizing any other skill I had. Like I was thinking about resume editing. Like I'm good
yeah.
at resume editing, but it didn't sound it wasn't exciting for me. I thought about other things like, I don't know, ghostwriting, stuff like that. But then when I stumbled on calligraphy, I thought, oh my God, this is so pretty. Like, I would learn it anyways as a hobby. And there are so many ways to monetize it. I can sell cards, I can teach workshops, I can do wedding services. There's a lot that I could do. And so I learned it and then I monetized the skill. So I think that's the easiest thing for people. If you have a skill or if you learn a skill and then monetize it.
Got it. That sounds like the theme I'm getting to with all these like side hustles and doing Etsy shops is probably get really good at a skill and make sure that skill is something you enjoy and then you consider monetizing it.
Yeah, and I think that's you could start doing that and then there's a lot of things you could build around it. So for example, I did the calligraphy business and then I started a YouTube channel. So then I could talk about starting a calligraphy business. So I think there's a lot that you can do and the hardest part for people is just picking one thing and starting.
Mm, that's a good point. I talked to a tech startup founder. Her name's Michelle. She owns a product called Type Dream, and it's basically like creator tools, digital creator tools. And there was like this one piece of advice that always just stuck out to me, and it was the reason why a lot of people fail is because they don't stick to it long enough, right? They'll maybe do it for like 1 to 2 weeks and then call it quits. And
Yeah,
so,
or they'll never start. They'll just research
yeah, yeah, they'll just research and then it never goes
and plan,
live.
research and plan.
It's like, what are you supposed to learn from that? And
Yeah.
so this
Yeah,
podcast is
totally
actually
agree.
this podcast is the reason why I think that way. Like I wanted to do at least 6 episodes before I said anything. And so I think now you're going to be my eighth episode, which is pretty cool.
Nice.
I don't know how to monetize it yet. I find that podcasts are probably one of the hardest things to monetize in terms of content because they're so long and you got to find an editor, and so I'm still trying to figure that part out. But I'm enjoying it.
Mm, yeah, podcasts, but you're also putting it on YouTube, right?
So I am putting on YouTube, and
Yeah.
I had the struggle of like, should I put this on my personal brand or should I make this like a separate
Oh,
entity, right?
yeah. But I mean, I think like people who start a podcast or people who start a YouTube channel, they would do it anyways, even if it weren't for the money. Like they just like you just enjoy chatting with people, learning about different things, right? But I
Yes.
think eventually like you do it long enough and then you get so good at it and then like the money just comes.
Is that how YouTube happened? Like you were just creating a ton of videos and then monetization was afterwards? Like how did you grow your channel to that point where you're actually making money from it?
Yeah, so when I started my YouTube channel, I never wanted to be I never thought I would want to make it like a full-time thing. It was literally to I would make videos on how to start a calligraphy business so I could funnel people into my email list and sell them my coaching packages for calligraphers. Because during COVID, I couldn't teach calligraphy workshops, so I offered coaching to calligraphers who wanted to start a business. So that was the point of the YouTube channel. It was to funnel people into my coaching. So I didn't care if I got a lot of views or not. But then about a year after doing that, I thought, YouTube is so much work. Like, do I really
Right.
want to do this? It's like hours and hours and hours, and it's a lot of energy, and I have to prepare and all of this stuff. And then I had this crisis, like a midlife crisis with YouTube, thinking about, do I want to do this or do I not? And what I actually discovered is so when I was growing up, like I loved blogging, like just writing, blogging, sharing my experiences. And I thought, okay, you know what? I actually want to continue doing that. But then now, because I have my YouTube channel, I can just use YouTube as a platform and not writing a blog. So that's when I pivoted in my YouTube channel and I broadened up the topic. So it wasn't just about calligraphy anymore. It was about starting a business, my business journey, like side hustles, personal development. And so that's when I made that pivot. And that's when I thought, okay, I really want to get big now. Like, this is what I want to do. I want to like share my experiences with the world and help people and be useful. And yeah, I think this is so cool. So then my mindset changed with YouTube and I wanted to get bigger. I wanted to get to build my audience and to then monetize it.
And how long did it take you before you got to that point? Like how many videos were you doing, or like when did? Because I'm kind of having that right now where it's like, do I want to keep doing this? Like that existential crisis that you're talking about, because all the effort, I'm like not even making money. So I'm just curious when did you know?
Yeah, so it took me a year and a half to get monetized, like the
Mm,
1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. A year and a half.
year and a half. Okay, and then were you at your government job still?
No, I was already like I started the YouTube channel in 2020, which was 1 year after I quit the job.
Okay, got it. And so you already started your entrepreneurship journey, but YouTube wasn't making money yet, so you kind of had to ride that out a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah, so when I was doing YouTube, I was the my main income source was coaching calligraphers. But then I always knew that I didn't want to do coaching forever. So 1 year ago, so about 2 years into doing YouTube, I I I quit coaching and then I said, "Hey, I'm not doing coaching. I'm not going to do a lot of calligraphy. I just want to focus on YouTube." That's when I did the Uber Eats and I had that part-time job and that's when I was thinking, "Oh, maybe let me start an Etsy shop." Because be a I wanted to get bigger on YouTube, but I was spending so much time doing the coaching and the calligraphy. So I thought, okay, I'm not doing that anymore. I want to get big on YouTube, but I still need to make some cash. So I'll do Uber Eats and stuff and pet sitting and the Etsy shop.
All these side hustles, right?
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's really cool. I think the theme I'm getting to, it's like you got to do something for a little bit and then like a light bulb hits later, right? Like you just got to be consistent because like for you it was like, okay, I'll do the calligraphy thing, and then you realize that like actually I want to share my life a little bit more. And so you don't really know until you're like consistent enough to the point where, like a light bulb hits.
Yeah, totally. And I think I've pivoted a lot in my business. Like I was doing calligraphy, then coaching, now the YouTube, and then Etsy, and then YouTube. And I think it scares, like people think when they start a business, oh, I have to dedicate 10 years to
Yeah.
this thing.
Yeah.
But once you start, like you build up confidence and you build up like all these different kinds of skills. Like for me, for example, SEO skills from blogging, from YouTube, which I carried over into my Etsy shop. And like I carried over a lot of skills from the past stuff. So even if I'm not doing coaching anymore, like through doing coaching, I learned to talk to people, I learned to show up on social media, and then that has really helped me with like my YouTube channel. So a lot of skills carry over. So it's never a waste if you pivot.
Mm. No, yeah, that's true. I think I remember watching one of your videos where you talk about, are you an introvert? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, I am, which
Yes.
is
Okay.
surprising to a lot. People think I'm an extrovert.
Talk about that. Like, I want to hear a little about that more, because I'm sure that's a challenge for introverts. How did you
Yeah.
go
Are
into
you an
making
introvert
content?
or
It's funny. I
extrovert?
I like flipped. So I started extrovert, right? And I loved, like, being part of events and leading events, leadership and all that. Then COVID hit, and then I kind of just like
Mm.
reversed into enjoying my introvertedness. So I'm like a little bit of both. So I lean more
Mm.
introvert just a little bit more, but I do miss
You
the
think you're more
extroverted
introvert?
side. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah, so I was always introvert my
Mm.
whole life, and I think now is like my most extroverted me. But I
Yeah.
would say I'm still an introvert. And I think for a lot of people who follow me and they're like calligraphers or artists and creatives, a lot of these kinds of people are introvert. So for me, yeah, I was introvert my whole life. And I think so I went to business school. And when you go
Mm.
to business school, they kind of force you to go to all these events and networking and have to join clubs and stuff. So I kind of had to learn to get out of my shell and talk to people. I was so shy and I was so awkward and so self conscious before. But I think business school really helped me just to learn, like, I don't know, the basics of talking to people and having a conversation.
Yeah.
And then I think for me, it was also very intentional that I wanted to become a people person. Like I knew I would always be introvert, but I knew I could be a, I guess, extroverted or outgoing introvert. So I always like I listened to podcasts and I read books on how to talk to people and like how do you have charisma and stuff
The
like that.
7 habits of
So I could
highly
be better with
effective
people.
people.
Pardon?
The 7 habits of highly effective people. No.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
read
I
that
would
book?
read
Yeah.
books like that. I would totally do that because I knew that people were like people like relationships are really
You know,
important
it's
and just
important.
like
Yeah.
general people skills are really important for life. And so I was really intentional about building that up, like just I guess throughout my 20s. And then now I'm like I love talking, but then I think I at the end of the day I always need to like recharge by myself. But I
That's
love
how I
talking to
know
people.
that's how I know I've gone introvert, because after a long day of talking to people, I'm like, "All right, I gotta chill
Yeah,
for a
yeah.
day or
Oh yeah, I
2."
got to be by myself. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Because I think, like, true definition is, like, introvertedness, or, like, extroverts get energy from people, right? And then, like, for introverts, they get people, like, not being alone, but just recharging, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think so.
Do you have any advice for people that wanna start content that are introverted?
I would say the easiest is start with Instagram stories
Oh, there you go.
because
Yeah.
it's only 24 hours and you can start with just like posting a photo. You could literally just you don't even have to show your face. You just like show something and do a and you just talk. Like that's like the easiest thing. That's what I started with when I was like doing calligraphy. I would just show the calligraphy and like talk in the background. And then
Mm.
slowly then I got to doing then I was like posting my face and like doing more like selfie Instagram stories. And then I think because of that, then I had the confidence to do YouTube. But with YouTube, I was like so scared at first.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So start small. Yeah.
I like that. One thing I also found interesting was with one of my guests, Johnny Tran. He was also
Mhm.
introverted. He started introverted, but then like kind of like you with COVID, and he started making content. He found that like with Twitch, like because he started doing live streams and stuff. He found that Twitch like helped him out a lot because, well, one, it's not like an actual audience, right? And it's like you're on a computer screen, but just being in front of a live
Oh,
audience it's helps.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. So I don't use Twitch so much, but I could totally see that. And it's more casual. Like the audience doesn't expect like a 5 minute really polished YouTube video,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Because usually it's like a really, really long stream, right? So it's more casual. So yeah, I think, yeah, Twitch is also a really great way to start. But also I think just short form in general, like because YouTube now has short form, but in when I started, there was no short form. So I think short form is like YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Instagram Reels. Those are really easy ways to
Good
get
ways to
started.
start. Yeah.
Yeah,
Did you start on YouTube or Instagram first, or which channel
I
did you
did
start
Instagram.
on? Okay. And was it, the same content that you were posting from YouTube?
Well, my Instagram, I started like when I was doing the calligraphy stuff, and then it kind of just like my Instagram has been the same. I've just had one Instagram. So it kind of went from calligraphy content to coaching to now it's like digital nomad, YouTube, Etsy stuff. Yeah,
I
so I've
see.
had Instagram for a while, but like YouTube was just 3 years.
Got it. Let's talk about something that I was very curious about, because this is something that I got to experience just for a few weeks, which is your digital nomad life. From what I understand, this was part of a dream that you had, and you got to do that, which I think is really cool. How was that? How's your
Thank
experience
you.
being a digital nomad?
Oh, it was the best time of my life. When I was 20 years old, I've always loved following travel bloggers and I loved the laptop lifestyle, work and travel at the same time, explore the world. And yeah, I've always wanted to do that. And yeah, when I started the calligraphy business, that was always at the back of my head. I thought, okay, let me just do this now. I'll work my way towards it somehow. Like I didn't think I could do it right at the beginning. I would have to monetize like a blog or offer some online service, but I didn't have the confidence to do that. I didn't think it would be easy. That's why I started with the calligraphy. And then I kind of like slowly pivoted until I could do that with my YouTube and the Etsy shop. So those are like my most online income streams. And yeah, I was in Southeast Asia for 3 months this year. And then I went to China and I lived with relatives for 4 months. And yeah, I had like the best time of my life. But it was so hard to work and travel at the same time.
Oh yeah.
It was a challenge.
What was like the hardest part of trying to do the two? Was it just being on a laptop or internet, or what was the hardest part about all that?
Yeah, the internet was actually okay. I think it was just I didn't have a routine because some days I would go do this thing with a friend or go do that thing and then I was moving around way too much. So if I do this again, I'll definitely stay longer in each place, like maybe 1 or 2 months instead of 2 weeks. Yeah, I was just like packing up all the time and it was just like a lot of things and I would be researching where to go and there was just like a lot of other things to do other than working. Yeah, so I found it hard to balance.
On the daily, like, were you like, what was the split of like having fun and traveling and working, like on your daily, you know, daily travels?
Yeah, I would say I tried to work maybe 3 hours a day at least on
Oh,
weekdays,
nice.
but it was so varied. Like it could be anywhere from no working to 6 hours. But when I got to China and I lived there for 4 months with my relatives, I could really focus and I had my routines and I wasn't going out to meet friends. I have like no friends there. So I was just working and I had a routine like I could do my work, but not Southeast Asia though.
Do you have a lot of friends in Southeast Asia?
Yeah, so the thing is I actually planned where I was going to be based on where I had friends. So I only went to places where I knew people.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Yeah. And I did some subscriber meetups in Southeast Asia. I did like four of them. Maybe for each one, I think 2 to 4 people came. So that was also fun. And then I would become friends with my subscribers and then we would hang out even more.
Oh, I love that. What parts of Southeast Asia did you go to?
Yeah, so I went to Vietnam for 2 months, Malaysia 1 month, and then some shorter trips to Singapore, Thailand, and Philippines.
You got a favorite?
Oh, everyone asks me that. It's really
I
hard to
have to.
pick, but
Yeah.
yeah, I would say I don't know if it's like the favorite, but I would say because I spent the most time in Vietnam, it was 2 months, and it was at the very start of the trip. So I was so hyped up about, oh, I finally can be a digital nomad. I was like so excited for it. And I have some good friends in Vietnam. So I would say because I spent the longest there, then I would pick Vietnam. And I did all like the beauty stuff, like nails, eyelashes, eyebrow microblading.
Nice.
And Vietnam
Are
is
you
a
Vietnamese
beautiful
as well?
country and the people are so nice. Pardon?
Are you Vietnamese?
No, I'm Chinese, like Chinese Canadian.
Oh, nice. Okay. That's really cool. Yeah, I went to Thailand and Vietnam as well. Thailand was my favorite, I have to say.
Ooh,
Chiang Mai specifically.
I have to go there. I only went to Bangkok for like 2 days for a
Oh,
visa
it's
run. I
short.
know
That's not much.
I have to go back to Thailand. How long did you spend in Thailand?
I was there for 2.5 weeks. It was mostly for just a solo trip, not work. So I have yet
Mm,
to do like nomad lifestyle. I think at some point I will though. We'll see. Because the 1 month, 2 months, I mean
yeah.
that sounds perfect. Because yeah,
Yeah, and Thailand is such a great spot for being a digital nomad. There's so many like co-working spaces too. I've heard like there are some really good ones.
yeah. What are some things that people get wrong about being a digital nomad?
Ooh, I think I had the perception that like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be so fun and I'm gonna be able to have my routines and do all this work and travel. But it's actually really tiring, especially if you don't plan it out right. Like if you, because I was moving way too much, I thought I could like do all my exploring and work. But I think, yeah, when people want to work and travel, you really have to stay put in one place because
Mm,
it's not like you're a tourist. You can't just go out the whole day. Yeah. So I think, yeah, the balancing part is hard. And a huge problem that I had was like SIM cards because I had like two-factor authentication on my Canadian SIM card. So, anyways, and I only have one SIM card slot. So, anyways,
oh,
and my phone can't do eSIM. So I had to switch out my SIM card every single time. I had to log into something. It was so annoying.
oh, that's funny. So you had one phone, no burner, just kept whatever you had.
Yeah, I had one phone and I thought it was okay because I traveled before with one phone, but it was never that long of a trip. So I think next time I'll either get a new phone that can do dual SIM or eSIM, or I'll just bring like a really crap phone and like put my Canadian SIM card in there.
Got it. Okay. Well, that was actually kind of going to my next question, but like, are there some things you wish you knew before you decided to go nomad?
Yeah, so the SIM card thing, I think what else? I thought I could have a routine. I thought it would be easy to like find places to run. Like I love running. That's like the
Oh,
exercise
nice.
that I love doing. And it was so hot in Southeast Asia. And even if I ran at 6 a.m., it would be 30 degrees. Like so hot. Oh, and I think another one, the suitcase I brought was so bad. So, anyways, I had to like change suitcases like twice.
Oh no! Like you bought a new one?
Yeah, I bought like two new ones.
Wait, what happened? They just broke? Or
Okay. So I thought, okay, because I was thinking, okay, so when I went to Vietnam, I brought a carry-on suitcase and could fit everything inside. Then when I got there, I was like, I actually want to buy things. So then
oh yeah,
I bought like a checked suitcase, like a big one at a market in Vietnam, and it wasn't good quality, so it broke. Then I bought a super expensive one.
did that break as well?
No, it didn't break.
Okay,
It didn't
okay,
break, but like I had to buy two suitcases. So yeah, so definitely like now I know I like high quality suitcase, even though it's expensive. Like yeah, high quality suitcase. And I think I brought too many shoes, and like there are things that I didn't have to bring. I don't know. But now I know.
Hey, possible YouTube video, unless that's already out.
You know, it's actually interesting. I've made some travel related or digital nomad related content, and it just performed so bad. So I stopped making those
Oh,
kinds of
okay.
videos on my
Yeah.
YouTube channel.
Oh, interesting. Maybe it's because the niche is so broad. Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's just hard to do
Yeah, I
travel
think
content.
people are following me for Etsy. Like they want
Yeah,
Etsy or side hustle things, not travel.
that's actually really true. Like I feel like with the travel niche, you got to stick to it if you decide to do that.
Yeah, I think so. But I'm actually trying to do more of that on my Instagram, like more lifestyle, travel. Like I can be more broad on my Instagram.
Got it.
So
Okay.
I'm trying to do that.
Let's talk about that. Your YouTube journey, just your content journey. You talk about creative business and entrepreneurship, and you said it's been 4 years now since you started a YouTube channel.
3 years
Okay, got
for
it.
the YouTube.
Do you have any YouTube people that you like? Any inspirations?
Ooh, I feel like I have a lot. You want me to name them?
Yeah. We'll give them a shout out. We'll put in the notes.
Okay, let's see. Okay, so I actually used to follow a lot of like beauty vloggers
Okay, there you go.
like, for
Nice.
years, like Jen Im.
Of course,
I
favorite.
think she's probably the one I followed the longest. Like Michelle Fan too. And then in terms of like more business ones, I love Catherine Manning
Okay.
because she also talked about she was like in the how to start YouTube niche for a long time, but then she pivoted. And then I like who else do I watch? These days, I've been watching a lot of podcasts on YouTube's like Diary of a CEO
He's
and
good. I'm
Women of
inspired by
Impact, like
him.
Lisa Bilyeu. I like watching like those 1 to 2 hour long videos now because I feel like I just get so much more I learn so much more rather than like a 10-minute video. But I'll still watch a 10-minute video if I'm looking for something really, really specific, like something about Etsy. But the ones I really enjoy now are like the 1 hour podcasts, interviews.
Oh wow, that's interesting to me because obviously that's my space. Like, are you actually watching this, or are you just
I'm
having it on
actually
the side?
watching them. I'm not just listening. I would
Wow.
actually
Yeah.
watch, but I would do like 2 times the speed.
Got it.
I would
Okay.
actually because
Yeah.
I can see how they interact, and I think it's just
It's
interesting.
fascinating.
I actually watch it.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, that's good for me to know.
Yeah.
Because
I think another oh, go ahead.
oh no, yeah, I'm just saying like I've been mostly just doing like audio. Like I'm doing the video, but I've been mostly focusing on uploading to Spotify. I think it's time to actually start building a channel for YouTube. I have the channel, but I barely put any effort into it. But hearing your perspective is really cool because
Mm.
I've talked to people and just I've been trying to get their opinion on Instagram stories and polls and friends and even guests. And majority of the time, they're actually like the opposite of what you said, which is, oh, I just don't have time to listen to a podcast. And so that was kind of discouraging for me a little bit, but
Oh,
hearing your side is good
not the
because I
right
know there's an
audience.
audience there. There's an
Your
audience there, yeah.
audience is there. You need to find more people like me who will literally watch a 2 hour interview.
Well,
But
that's the
yeah,
hard
I
part
think the
too.
reason
Yeah.
yeah, I think the reason is because like these days, the short YouTube videos, like the 15-minute long YouTube videos, they're so in your face with all these
Right.
flashy graphics and they're so
Yeah.
fast.
Like
But
the
the
Mr.
sit
Beast
down
style.
interviews are chill. Yeah, they're chill. And then I just feel like I can relax while watching them. But then if it's like a 10-minute video, a lot of them, especially the business ones, they're like so fast and so many graphics popping up here and there. Yeah. Yeah. So that's why I like the podcast. And I can get a lot of information. And I like, especially when it's an author and they have a book, I don't want to spend 6 hours listening to the audiobook. I'd rather watch the 1 hour interview and I get the most important things.
Oh, damn, that's so fascinating. And it's like you were watching the interactions too, so you're seeing like the communication styles and you get a lot from that too.
Yeah. And then I try to observe them and then I'm like, oh, I like their hand gestures. Why do I like their hand gestures? Why does it seem so I also like seeing how people interact. And then I'm like, oh, maybe I should do that with my hand gesture.
As we're doing this podcast, we're just throwing our
Yeah.
hands up. Well, YouTube. I mean, you have any plans for YouTube? Like, how do you like? What's the future look like for your content? Maybe in the year next year.
Yeah, so my channel, I feel it's kind of plateauing. It's kind of going down a bit. So my plan is like I'll stick to the Etsy niche, but I also want to do more on like side hustles, just creative business in general. I don't think I can, it would be really hard. I think it would be really hard for my YouTube channel to grow if I stop talking about Etsy. So I would definitely continue to do half Etsy, but then keep talking about the other business stuff, and hopefully like I'm hoping another video will blow up.
Sure, sure.
But like it's just so hard to predict, so I'm just gonna just keep being consistent and just post one video a week.
Got it. Cool. There's this girl who she started her YouTube channel. I think it's about growing on YouTube as well, and she started from zero. And now she's like 20K, but she's a really good follow. I'd recommend her. Her name's April Lynn Alter. Have you heard of her before?
I think I've seen her. Yeah, no, I've definitely seen her videos. I think I subscribed.
Oh, nice.
I was like,
Okay.
wow, this girl's growing fast.
It's crazy. She inspires me because she's on Twitter too, and she talks about the process of growing a channel from scratch. And yeah,
Mm.
it's cool. She's actually lives in San Francisco too, and I met with her a couple times.
Oh, you
Um,
get her on the podcast.
I've been meaning to, but like when I
You could
first
do a
started it,
live podcast. Like, I mean, like,
yeah,
right? Like, she could be, in the same room instead of the video.
well, this is a studio, so I'm planning to invite her at some point. So we'll see.
Mm.
But
Oh, that would be so cool. Yeah, as she's like, because she's growing so fast.
well, it's crazy because like this is her second channel. So the first channel she's had, it was like 100K, I think. I forgot why she decided to make a new channel, but I think it has to do with like kind of like what we were talking about earlier. The niches were different, and so she didn't want to like commingle the audiences.
Mm,
But it's just crazy because like I think in the
right.
last 3 or 4 months, she's up to like 20K, which I think is kind of similar to your trajectory. Yeah, like you kind of hit jackpot around that as well.
Yeah, but oh my gosh, she's like, I mean, I made 99 videos until a video took off. Like, I
Yeah,
wish
the
I could grow
volume.
like that, but mine was, yeah, mine was slow. But also, it's her second channel, so I think like she already knows how to do YouTube.
Yeah, no, for sure. Do you see yourself when you think about all these other things that you've done and you think about YouTube? Do you think you see YouTube as a long term thing, or do you continue to just kind of let it ride out?
Yeah, I think YouTube will be long term. Maybe my niche would change in the future. I have no idea. Like maybe in 10 years I'll make like mom videos. Or maybe like I can totally see myself starting new YouTube channels.
Mm.
But yeah, I at least for the next 2 years, like I'm gonna keep doing this at least for 2 years. But yeah, we'll see what happens because I pivoted a lot, so I it's very possible I pivot again.
Part of all the entrepreneurial journey, huh?
Yeah, I follow my passions.
Love it, love it. I was talking to Johnny, and I was asking the same thing. I was like,
Yeah.
is content creation long term? And he actually said no. He said it's something that like at some point he actually wants to start a business and maybe do more of actually what you're doing or like what you did with calligraphy, which is like coaching. And he wants to coach creators.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's interesting. It's interesting how that works.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's super awesome. And I think like if you have a content business, there's so many different kinds of things you could do. Like there's coaching, Johnny wants to do coaching. There's you could do e-commerce, like I don't know. And then you could like everything can be consolidated with the YouTube. Like you could use your YouTube as promotion for a whole bunch of different things, right? You could write a book and then promote it. There's I
Yeah,
think there's a lot of benefits to having like a content creation business.
I feel like it's kind of like the machine to help you pivot if you wanted to.
Yeah, especially if it's a if the content is about like the person, like if it's a personal brand, and if you're able to talk about multiple topics, then I think the content can just follow you in life, and the audience will follow you wherever you go, no matter what topic.
Exactly. Well, then that's also the importance of what you were saying earlier is having an owned audience. where you have your newsletter.
Yeah. Do you have a newsletter?
Working on it.
Ooh, we better
Working on
get
it.
started
Working
on
on it.
that.
I know. I know. This content thing is like, because like I work at an agency where we actually grow businesses through ads, so like Facebook ads, Instagram ads.
Mm.
So the content, this organic stuff, I was pretty good at it first, but I'm still exploring how to grow it, and so it's part of the reason why I started this podcast is to learn from people, from you, like you.
Aw. Well, if you start, oh, it's so easy to start an email newsletter,
Yeah,
and
yeah, I
like, tell
imagine.
me when you start it. I'll be like the first subscriber.
Oh my gosh, no, I appreciate that, Dina. You don't have to. Well, speaking of just going back to you, let's talk about being a millennial because this is the Millennial Method podcast. You're 29 now. How does it feel to be 29?
If I'm almost 30, I'm gonna be 30 in less than half a year.
Oh snap! Happy early birthday.
Thank you. And you're
29 as well. Turning 30 in December. So
yeah,
same thing.
we're almost yeah. Yeah, so yeah, it's interesting. Like it's weird, but then it's also like I try not to think about it, but then it's also like I can't not I can't not think about it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've been thinking about like, oh, should I do something for my 30th birthday? Because I feel like it's a pretty big one.
it's huge.
But I don't know. I have friends who already turned 30 and I asked them like, hey, when you turned 30, was it any different? And they were like, no, I feel the same.
It's probably arbitrary, but I don't know. It just seems so so grand. I'm pretty sure body feels pretty similar, but
Yeah.
30, right?
Yeah. I try not to make it like I don't want it to be a huge thing, but it's kind of nerve-wracking because I feel like, oh, it's like by 30, I want to get this done, this done, this done. Oh, and I'm also single too, so it's kind of like, oh, and my dad is like, Dina, you're almost 30. You're gonna find a husband.
Oh, that's the worst.
So it's that thing too. But I think
Yeah.
for me, like I wanna take my time, like with finding a person. I don't wanna just rush into things because I'm turning 30 and I don't
Oh, hell no.
so
Yeah.
yeah, I think with everything, like just with life, career, finding a partner, I think it's like all a journey and we'll just keep learning things as we go. And age is just a number. Like I don't feel like I'm 30. I don't know. I don't feel 30. I don't feel
25 max.
29. I don't know what I feel.
Dude, well, are you gonna create some content around it at least? Because 30s, I mean, you did a lot
I
in
don't
your 10
know.
years.
Yeah, maybe I will. We'll
I would watch
see.
that.
Actually, that's
Yeah.
that's a good idea. I'll put it in my ideas list. Thanks, Mark.
Hell yeah, got you. Did you expect to be in this career? Like just creative entrepreneurship?
Mm, when I was in high school, I didn't even know about entrepreneurship. I didn't even know it was a thing. I thought I
Mm.
would I thought I would go into science and do something, but then
Oh,
I decided on going to business school. So I had no idea.
did you want to own a
Yeah.
business?
Why did I want to go into business?
Oh, did you want to own? Yeah, or yeah, that's a good question too. Why did you decide to go to
Oh,
like make the pivot?
yeah, so when I was in my last year of high school, I had no idea what I wanted to do. And I talked to somebody who was I talked to somebody who was in their third year of business school, and I was like, oh, I don't know what to do with my life. What should I do? And so the advice I got was don't go into sciences because the more you study, the more you need to like niche down. The less options you have, the more you do sciences. But if you go into
Oh, okay.
business, you have more options and you don't have to do like extra school after you do your bachelor. So I thought, okay, let me just do business and figure out. And let's say I want to work in science later, I could always have a business position in science. So I was like, okay, I'll just do business, whatever.
Yeah,
But
that's
I had no idea.
okay. So what was your mindset like going into that? You're like, I'm just gonna find a 9 to 5. The creative entrepreneurship never came in there until like later in your life.
Yeah, so I had no idea what I wanted to do until when I was in third year, I did an internship at a startup company. And that's when I was like, whoa, wait, these people started a business from scratch? What?
Yeah.
Wait, how does that even work? So I think that, and then around that time, I was on exchange. I did some volunteer trips. I was traveling a bit more. And that's when I discovered the whole travel blogging thing. So I was like, wait, you can start a business and make money online? Wait. So that's when
Mind
I was like
blowing.
kind of in my head. And then, but I was kind of already going down the path of like I did two internships at another government department. That's how I ended up getting the full-time government job. So I was kind of already on that path. So I thought, you know what, let me just continue this. But it was always in the back of my head that, hmm, online business, travel, start a business. Yeah, it was always in the back of my head that I wanted to maybe do that. I didn't know it
Right.
was possible. I didn't know how realistic it was, though.
Yeah. That's well, it's cool that you made that a thing now, right? Like just went
Yeah,
all in.
and I
Yeah.
think that's yeah, because I wanted to do this for so long. And I think there are people like me who are like maybe they're 20 years old and they see other people doing it. And so I think a big part of my content is I want to show people that you can actually do it. You can actually do the thing that you want to do. So I think that's like what really drives everything that I do.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Have you heard of Y Combinator? You probably heard of this.
Yeah, like the accelerator, right?
Yeah, the startup accelerator. Yeah,
Yeah, but
they
isn't that for like tech startups, right?
mostly tech
Like
startups.
product.
Yeah. But yeah, like I think it was like Sam Altman, if you know who that is, the guy that created ChatGPT. He's
He created Y Combinator and ChatGPT?
oh, he created ChatGPT, but his
Okay.
ChatGPT came from Y Combinator. But
Oh, okay.
yeah, it was super interesting. But he was saying like someone asked him a question about like entrepreneurship and startups nowadays, and he was saying like there's less of it now, and there's less people that just have that drive to do their own thing, and so it's like I feel like
Mm,
your content makes it a lot more digestible to think about that kind of stuff because you're so transparent with the journey.
mm. Oh, thank you. Yeah, and I think before, like for example, when I worked at the startup, I think I thought that starting a business meant making
It's
a
harder.
making
Right?
an app, like a product, like a tech product. I didn't
Yeah.
think about freelancing or offering a service. I didn't know that was a thing. I always thought it was like a tech startup. You need an app kind of thing. And I was like,
Silicon Valley.
I don't know anything. Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, but I hope that through like my content, but also like your podcast, like more people can be exposed to these kinds of like creative careers. Because I think you can create this, you can create, especially a content business. You can do it in, you can have any profession. Like you could be a doctor and like start a YouTube channel, right? And those do really well too. Like you could be doing anything and create a business out of it.
Ali Abdal. I mean, he started off as like a med student, right? And
Yeah,
here he is.
exactly.
So, do you follow Colin and Samir on YouTube? They also talk about that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. I love their podcast. And I actually watch the podcast.
Going back to that, yeah, yeah, they got long content. Oh man,
Yeah.
there's a book you've probably read it, but it's called The 4 Hour Work Week. Classic. Have you heard of this?
Yes. Oh my gosh. I read that. That was one of the books that kind of made me think, wow, this is possible. Yeah.
Travel.
Yeah. You know, I just had an idea because we were talking about like us turning 30.
Hmm.
When you turn 30, you should get someone to interview you for the
Oh,
podcast.
dude.
Wouldn't that be cool? Because you're
Wow.
always the one interviewing people.
Yeah, I gotta bookmark that. I'm gonna write that down right now. Amazing. Wow. Wow,
That would
Dina.
be so interesting because I feel like I always like when I listen to podcasts, I never get to hear about the podcaster's life and what they're thinking because they're always the one asking the questions.
Hmm. $1 million idea right there. Gonna gonna write that down. Thank you. Wow. Going back to being a millennial, like there was this video you had that was I thought was super interesting, and it was called like "How to Survive Your High School Reunion." Do you remember this?
Oh my god. That was such a random video I made.
But it was so great because like when I was doing some research for this, I actually just came back from a high school reunion that wasn't even mine. It was super interesting because it was like after I went to that, I had my own experience. I was like, okay, I'm gonna write about this, journal about it, And then I saw your video because I wanted to interview you, and then I was like, "Yo, like this is exactly how I felt when you were talking about it in your video." And so,
Oh my god.
yeah.
And, that video is actually doing surprisingly well. Like, people are actually searching, like, how do I like, should I go to my high school reunion? Like, people are actually finding that video. It was such a random video that I did.
Well, why don't we for the people that haven't seen the video, like, what was your experience like at your reunion?
Yeah, so I had such a good time, but I think I was kind of nervous for it because it's like I haven't seen a lot of people for a long time, and then I'm kind of doing something different. And yeah, overall it was really good. I thought I would just stay for an hour. I was like, okay, I'll go, but I'll just go for an hour and see. But I ended up staying like 3 hours or four, I
Oh,
think 3 hours. And it was just so it was it was really cool to see, like, to reconnect with people that I was close to in high school, but then we kind of lost touch, and they're doing something really cool, or they have kids, or they kind of also start a business, or yeah. So I think I was nervous about talking to acquaintances because I was like, I don't know if I'll vibe with them anymore, but it was actually really great to reconnect with people.
that's good. And for when you think about that experience and the people, especially the younger millennials, I think they're gonna have their reunions coming up soon. Like, is there any like high level advice you want to give to them when you come into these?
High level advice: go.
Let's go.
Because
Yeah.
it doesn't happen often. It's like 10-year or 15-year or 20-year, and like, you've got nothing to lose. And then maybe, like, if you're feeling nervous, the something you could do is just go in with a friend. Like, meet at the parking lot, walk into it with a friend, so at least you have one person to talk
Friend
to.
from that high school, right? Like an old friend or something.
Yeah, yeah, an old friend from high school that you're closer to, and then just, like, go in together, and then just say, "Okay, I'm gonna only go for half an hour or an hour, and just commit to 1 hour." And then usually, like, I think people will stay longer.
People usually stay longer, especially if there's like food and drinks, right? Then they get to catch up and all
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Okay,
so yeah,
that's
don't be
good.
nervous.
The 20-year will be interesting because so much can happen,
Yes, I agree. 20-year.
like families, career, and just thinking about it's even funny.
Yeah, and I feel like people will look a little bit older because I feel like people still look the same at the 10-year reunion, but then the 20-year
The 20-year, you'll
people will
know
look
for
a bit older.
sure. Yeah,
Yeah, like, who's wearing sunscreen?
it's like obviously you prepared for this.
Oh, yeah, I wear sunscreen every day.
We talked a lot about just every aspect of your life, I would say, which has been really fun. Going back to kind of like the future, right? We talked about what the future of your YouTube channel looks like. I think it's just like a human being, right? Like, what do you see yourself like like accomplish? What's next 2 to 3 years look like for you, especially coming on your 30s?
Yeah, so I definitely want to stabilize my income a bit more because right now it's kind of like I'm just starting to do brand deals, and then my income is still kind of inconsistent. So I think definitely with my finances, I would want to be more stable with all my income streams. And then I definitely want to travel more, but I think my goal now is I want to do less solo traveling. I want to
Yeah.
I'm trying to find a boyfriend I
Okay.
can
There
travel
you
with.
go.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah, hopefully, yeah, I'll find someone, and then someone who shares like a similar vision for their lifestyle, and then we can travel together. And then I think after 2 years of doing a lot of travel, I might be more ready to like settle down in one place, but I'm not sure about that. We'll see. So, yeah, we'll see. And yeah, I would love to I think generally what I love about this kind of life, like having this creative career, the YouTube and everything, is like meeting people like you and just connecting with really cool people. So I would love to do more subscriber meetups. I would love to come to the Bay Area and meet everybody that I know in the Bay Area, like you, travel around, meet people, meet other digital nomads, and just learn about how other people live. I think that's one of the most interesting parts about this kind of career.
So you see yourself doing the nomad thing for maybe like a few more years before you consider settling down?
Yeah, I think so. And I think when I say nomading, it's like half nomading because I love Vancouver in the summers, but not the winter because it's so
Mm,
cold. So I would do
yeah.
half Vancouver, half nomad.
I know people that they buy homes for that reason. So like they'll buy it for seasonally. Like I know a guy that lives in Wisconsin for half of the year and then has a home in San Diego. And so he plans for
Mm,
his other life in San Diego. And so that's interesting.
yeah. But I feel like I would want to go to different places. I
Yeah.
think. So we'll see.
Uh,
But maybe I'll end up really liking a place, but I don't think I found that place yet where I would want to buy a place and spend half the year there. We'll see.
is a Vancouver home? Would that be long term?
Yeah, I think Vancouver would be home. And like my immediate family's here. A lot of my friends are here. So I think Vancouver would definitely probably be my home base forever.
Forever.
Maybe. It's hard to say.
Well, let me know if you're in the Bay Area. Do you have a big audience here? When you check your
Do I
analytics,
have a what?
do you have a big audience here?
Oh, I think there are definitely a lot of subscribers in the Bay Area. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I'll
Well,
probably like most likely like I've been to the Bay Area like 5 times. Like I don't know. I'm sure I'll be there in the next 1 to 2 years
oh,
for
there you go.
something. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, if you're ever in San Francisco,
And
I got a
we
spot
can do
for
an
you.
in-person podcast.
Oh my gosh, say less. Let me know. I got you covered. Are you into like K-pop at all?
I used to be more into K-pop, but not so much now.
Got it.
Why?
Well,
A lot of concerts there, right?
there's a lot of concerts here, but specifically, and this is kind of random, but I sometimes I DJ at a like in a venue. It's kind of like a Korean like dive bar place, and I'm really good friends with the owner. So if you ever come by, we can you can have your meetup there, and then like it's a good spot to
Oh,
hang.
okay.
Yeah, let me know.
Ooh. Okay, okay. Sounds good. And you
Yeah,
can hook
yeah,
me up with all the parties and stuff.
I got you. I got you.
And you let me know if you come to Vancouver. I'll take you hiking.
It's on my list. Please, please. I'm stoked. Let me know.
Yeah.
I've been to. Let's see. I've actually never been to Canada, surprisingly, but I have friends there, and there's a few people on the podcast that I've interviewed that are from Toronto, so I gotta go visit them. But Vancouver would be my first time, so
Mm,
yeah, I will take you up on that.
okay. Yeah. And like it's only 2 hours flight to Vancouver. It's pretty close.
Well, Dina, this has been super awesome. I know we went kind of over time. Hope that's okay.
Oh, that's
But
okay. I enjoyed it.
yeah, me too. I'm glad we finally got to meet. Any closing thoughts about creative entrepreneurship? Your journey. Anything that you want to share with my audience before we go?
Yeah, I would say if anyone in your audience is thinking about doing something similar to this, they should just do it. Oh yeah, and then if they have if they have like any questions or anything, like they can feel free to message me on Instagram, like Dina Dlu. I'm sure you'll link my Instagram. But yeah, if they have any
I'll have all that.
questions about Etsy, YouTube, content creation, or like career pivots, yeah, they can feel free to message me.
Awesome. And Instagram, you said Dina D Lu. Is that it?
Yeah, like DINADLU.
Okay, cool. And then YouTube is just Dina Lu. I'm sure you're the only one there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very easy to find.
Love it. Cool. Well, this has been super fun, and thanks for doing this. And I'm excited to share this with my audience because, like I said, I think this is perfect timing because the new year is coming up, and a lot of people just want to be a creator. So
Thanks for having me.
cool. Well, have a good one, and I'll see you later.
Thank you. You too.
Hey, thanks for checking out the podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe on our YouTube channel. That's where we post all the video episodes, each and every one. Just check it out. Millennial Method, should be able to find it. And we're also on Spotify and Apple. That's where we post the audio versions of the podcast. So, as always, thanks for listening or watching or whatever you're doing. And I really appreciate you giving you a little bit of your time to listen to the podcast. Hope you have a happy and healthy and wealthy life. Catch you at the next one. Peace.